Hey everyone, welcome to the video. Going over tomorrow's NASCAR race at Michigan, the FireKeepers 400. We're going to be breaking down that race and going over my favorite plays and going over the cheat sheet and model, and then my targets. So anyway, before we continue, if you could leave a like, subscribe to the channel, I really appreciate that. You can also follow me on Twitter at ChrisPennell16. I changed my Twitter handle, so it's easier to just look me up, just my name with the 16 on the end. And yeah, we're almost at 900 subscribers, so that's pretty awesome. So hopefully we can get up to there after the end of the weekend. And yeah, so let's get into the race. So for the track, we're going to be at Michigan International Speedway. It's 2 miles in length, and it's a D-shaped medium bank track. And we're going to have 200 laps, so Dominator points aren't going to be insane like having 400 laps, but we are going to have a main Dominator. So there's some strategy and tips entering this race. We're going to look at the long run speed like usual. It's only 200 laps, so I'm only looking at really 1 Dominator per lineup, possibly 2. There's probably going to be a major Dominator and a minor Dominator. But really, you probably should only aim for 1 Dominator, because I'm not going to want to have lineups with like. So let's say I'm not going to have Harvick and Keselowski in a lineup. Most likely, it just doesn't make too much sense for me. So I'm mainly going to go with the 1 Dominator lineups, and then so let's get into it. So my number 1 Dominator is going to be Joey Logano at 9,700. He's starting on the pole, and really, just getting Joey below 5-figure salary is always a good value with how good of a driver he is. So now we get him on the pole at a track he's won at and dominated before. In 2016, he led about 138 laps and won the race. So he does have some decent history here. Recently, he hasn't been too great, but outside of the past 2 years, it's been pretty decent. And there's nothing about his speed that stands out this week, and that goes for all the Team Penske cars like Keselowski and Blaney. But they always show up for race day and are always solid during the race. And having him as your Dominator really allows you to make an evened out lineup full of upside instead of having to dumpster dive a little bit because he's only 9,700. So definitely Joey Logano a lot. And then my second favorite Dominator is going to be Kevin Harvick, 10,700. He's starting third, and Harvick was running great last week until he had trouble in the pits. Not that it matters, just pointing out that he raced way better than what the box score would tell you. I mean, he had probably one of the best race cars, and he actually set himself up for being first. But then, like I said, pit road kind of cost him at a loose tire, so he ended up getting screwed. But he's been awesome here the past 4 races, earning himself the highest average driver rating of 122, most laps led, and a win. And he also showed speed this week, having a top 5 car in the long run, all the long run speeds. And all the Stewart-Haas racing cars look super good this week, so definitely Kevin Harvick a lot. I'd definitely be mixing my exposure with these 2 guys and also some of the next 2 guys as well. So also, next I want to talk about is Aric Almirola. This is more of a GPP Dominator play. It's definitely not safe, and I do think there's only a slim chance of him dominating, but his car was blazing fast this weekend, topping everyone in practice and just about everything. And like the 10, 15, 20 lap averages, as you can see, I do have that listed here. He was first in the 15, 20, second in the 10 lap in practice 2. Practice 1, I don't really weigh too heavy. So yeah, his car is really good. And he's part of Stewart-Haas Racing, so and I'm just saying it's a very risky play, and it's also not probable that it pays off. But he does have a rocket ship this weekend, and if it does happen to work out, you have yourself a really cheap Dominator, and you can spend up for some place differential plays like Martin Truex and Chase Elliott. And then my last Dominator is Brad Keselowski at 11,200. He's starting 8th, and like Joey, the speed in practice isn't great, but it doesn't seem to matter with these guys as they are always in the running near the end and usually end up getting up front to lead some laps and, sometimes win the race. So, and he's also been good here, and he's also from the area, so some added motivation. He is from Michigan. In the past 4 races, he has the 3rd most laps led here, and I can definitely see him being the lowest owned out of this tier based on his price. And he usually tends to be the odd man out. He tends to be lower owned, usually around 10-15%, so I don't mind taking some stabs there. And even if he doesn't win the race, he can always top 3, which would, still be pretty decent, although we'd want him to lead some laps, but he definitely has high finishing upside as well. And then for the place differential plays, where we have Kyle Larson at 9,500. He's starting 22nd, and really he's probably the number 1 played this week outside of all the Dominators. He's going to be the highest owned driver, probably. So it's inevitable that he will crash out because that's just how it works in NASCAR. Well, this is one of his best tracks, and he's also won 3 straight races here before starting back a few years ago. And speed wasn't there too much in practice, but as long as he stays out of trouble, I think top 10 is his floor, really. I mean, he's got really high upside in this race, so he will be one of my heaviest owned drivers. And yeah, he didn't have too much speed in practice, but no, I already said that. Okay, so. And then Chris Buescher at 7,200. He's starting 31st. So here's going to be another chalky play this week, but the price and starting position justify it, in my opinion. Buescher's been pretty rock solid this year, and starting 31st, he's only going to be moving up, and he's just too good of a driver not to. He has 2 top 20s and a top 10 here as well with an average finish of 21, so I do think he's a very good play this week. Going to be another core play for me, as he is for a lot of people. Then we have Erik Jones at 8,300. He's starting 14th, and he burned a lot of people last time, crashing out at the very beginning. He finished dead last. I was one of those people. I was really heavy on Erik Jones. I mean, he had great speed, good history, but I'm going to go right back to it. Hopefully his ownership's lower because of what he did to people, and his car looks really good again this weekend. He was top 5 in all the long run speeds, and his history isn't too bad either with a 3rd place finish. So all about going back to Erik Jones this week, hopefully at a lower ownership. And then Alex Bowman, 8,500, starting 20th. He's been chalky for over a month now, but he's been driving so well, I can't leave him off. His prices come up a lot since then, but I think a top 15 is definitely possible, and he showed some decent speed in practice as well. And then I didn't really want to go in depth on Martin Truex Jr. or Chase Elliott, but they're obviously in play. And I'm noticing a pattern with Truex. He does good. He does bad one week, then he does great the next week. So if that was holding true, Truex would be a good play this week. That's not like scientific or anything. It's just something I was noticing. But yeah, those 2 are good plays if you can afford them. I guess those would be your guys if you're going to be going with like a Almirola lineup, maybe. Not saying you shouldn't have too much Almirola, but if you do, you can spend it for the place differential guys. Then for some of the cheap drivers I like, so Austin Dillon, he's not technically a cheap driver, but I didn't know he's not really a place differential play either, nor is he a dominator, so I didn't know where to put him. But he's below 7K, so I thought I'd put him in this category. And at 6,800, starting 12th, he's not, but I do think he's a fine GPP play at this price. He has 2 top 10s and a top 5 here the past 4 races. So if he can hold his own in top 15, I think he pays off his salary. And I do think he has top 10 upside, just based on history alone. Practice, we only didn't run really any 10 laps in practice, so I have nothing to go off of there. But just going off the history here, and I think he can top 15. So if he does, I think it's okay. And he fits roster construction pretty well, being that cheap. And he just has more upside than a lot of those. If he finishes in the top 15, he's going to have some decent upside with the guys priced around him. And I will say William Byron is a decent play. I just don't tend to play him a lot, but starting 21st, because he usually qualifies high, but at starting 21st, I do have some interest, but he's been pretty bad here, over the course of his career. I mean, it's not a huge sample size, but at practice, he was 15th in the 10 lap and 11th in the first practice, which I don't really look at the first practice much, but definitely think William Byron is somewhat of a good play. Probably won't be too heavy on him because I can see him being higher owned, and I kind of like some other guys better, but I do think he is in play. And then for the cheapos, outside of Austin Dillon, Matthew DiBenedetto at 6,500, starting 29th. He's in better equipment now, so I'm not going to look too much into track history. He's part of Joe Gibbs Racing now, not like on the main team, but he's an affiliate. And yeah, he's just, to put it simple, he's much better than a 29th place car, and he's going to move up. So definitely has around top 20 upside. And then Corey LaJoie, 5,700, starting 32nd. He was running very well last race until he ran into some trouble, which happens a lot with these cheap guys, so really kind of just luck of the draw with that. But he's honestly been solid this year, and he can definitely run in the top 30, top 25. And some fades for me are going to be Denny Hamlin, Clint Bowyer, and Daniel Hemrick. And Paul Menard. I actually didn't mean to put fade for Clint Bowyer. I messed that up. Okay, so yeah, I'm not fully on a Clint Bowyer fade, but I mean, I'm probably not going to have too much exposure for him, but that was just an accident. So Paul Menard, Denny Hamlin, and Daniel Hemrick, my fades. And then if we go over to my targets page, hello. Sorry, someone was waving to me. I'm outside. So this is just my target sheet, so you guys can take a look at it. I already just went over that, so I'm not going to go over it again and just repeat myself. So for the example lineup, I have Joey Logano as my dominator, Kyle Larson and Chris Buescher, Erik Jones and Alex Bowman as my place differential plays, and then for my cheap driver, I have Austin Dillon or MDB, because you can afford both. Just depends if you have your risk tolerance for Austin Dillon. But anyway, guys, that's all I have for the video. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below. You comment who you guys like. If you like someone else, or if you disagree with anything, just comment below. I don't mind having discussions. And yeah, I have an article I put on Reddit, so if you want to check that out, you are welcome to. It's just all of this in written form. I kind of just read off my own article, because it's easier, so I don't stumble across my words and stutter. So yeah, like I said, yeah, just leave a comment if you want. Remember to leave a like, subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate that. And good luck tomorrow. And good luck today if you are playing baseball.